Hi, everybody. I hope you're all doing well out there. And I'm personally happy that winter's almost done in New York. And beside that, I'm really grateful that it wasn't so bad this year. Anyway, these are three case histories from my files that were chosen because they represent the essence of the watery element in love relationships. Please keep in mind, I'm discussing the watery temperament, meaning those who have this element prominent in their birth charts, rising sign, sun sign, moon sign, Venus, and Mars positions. I am not saying that these examples represent all the Cancerians, all the Pisceans, and all the Scorpios out there. Okay, case history number one, a Pisces woman. She was damaged from past relationships and had her own way of coping with her need for love versus her fear of being hurt by another deep involvement. This was a gorgeous woman, beautiful and sexy, and noticed by others wherever she went. On this particular day, a Sunday, she was doing her food shopping at a local supermarket. He stared at her, and she stared back, and gave him a warm, come hither smile. They continued shopping up and down the aisle, and accidentally on purpose kept running into each other, wordlessly giggling and flirting in their own way. Checkout time came, and she was done and out of the door first, with him still on another line, gazing past her. When he finished paying and went outside, he found his car, loaded his trunk, and then he looked around the parking lot. He spotted her, leaning against the trunk of her car, smiling, hips thrust forward seductively. So he walked to the passenger side of his car, opened it wide for her, and waited. She did not disappoint him. She slid into the front seat and continued to smile. Not a word was exchanged between them. What ensued that afternoon in his apartment was, according to him, pure magic. We had something, he told me. Something very, very special between us that I've never experienced before. Obviously, he was surprised when he asked her for name, address, and phone number, and she refused. I need time to think, she told him. Well, how am I going to get in touch with you? He asked. She replied, I know where you live, and I know how to reach you. He drove her back to the parking lot and her car. He thanked her for a wonderful afternoon, and he told her he hoped to hear from her. But he never did, which is how I met him. He called me for a consultation in the hope that I would be able to shed some light on the situation. He told me that more than a few Sundays were lost hanging out at the supermarket, hoping to find her again. I listened without saying a word because I was not able to say a word. The reason? I knew who she was as soon as he described her to me. She was a client of mine. Her appearance was very distinctive, and the location of the supermarket was close to the high rise she lived in. Of course, I couldn't say anything. When she phoned for her bi-yearly update, I made the appointment, and when she came into my office, I told her, I met him, you know. Met who? She asked. The supermarket guy. You didn't say anything, did you? Of course not. You would have heard from him. According to what she had to say, the magic of that afternoon was more or less one-sided. I told her I felt extremely sorry for him because he was haunted by the experience. To which she replied, well, maybe he needs to grow another set. The most important thing we discussed that afternoon was how destructive it was for her to deny her true nature, which was caring, giving, and compassionate. Her attitude toward men for the hurt she blamed them for was callous and ruthless, the same way she dealt with her own pain. She never gave herself the nurturing that was required to heal. Instead, she called herself a stupid fool who got what she deserved for being a doormat. Case history number 2, a Cancer man. He met her at a Marriott nightclub and was emotionally shattered by what he called the thunderbolt. Fortunately for him, she agreed to go out with him, and in a matter of weeks, he proposed. One of his wedding gifts to her was to pay off all her credit card debt, which totaled over $20,000. She was a Leo and loved to spend money lavishly. Sadly, after the wedding, it was the issue of money that began to drive them apart. She blew her paycheck every week on self-indulgences, and he paid all the bills and living expenses. The minute he asked her to contribute financially, her interest in him waned. According to Cancer, she spent all weekend on the phone complaining to her girlfriends that he was trying to get her to pay for things. Soon after, she became very busy, was hardly ever home anymore, and announced that she got a weekend job to make extra money. The truth was that she began an affair with the owner of the establishment, a bar and grill, where she worked on the weekend. Then she left Cancer and moved in with her boss. Cancer came to see me to find out if Leo was coming back to him. I told him the truth, as I always do, and in this case, the truth was that she was gone for good. He did not believe that. He insisted she was coming back. He withdrew and sat home and waited and waited and waited, and thought of nothing else except her returning. We talked by phone a great deal. I encouraged him to seek therapy, take classes, do anything necessary to heal, and get on with his life. After a year of waiting, he heard the news that Leo remarried. I was hoping, for his sake, that this would be the turning point for him. I hoped that he would begin to be ready to finally let it go. But the claws of the crab do not let go, and he wouldn't. The last time I spoke to him, 10 years had passed since his divorce, and all he talked about was how he was certain that someday she would return. There was still no relationship in his life, or even a desire for a relationship. He returned home from work every day and spent all of his time living in the past, a real danger for Cancer. Water signs live in a world of feeling and emotion. Relationships are their lifeblood. Love ties represent security to them and act as the foundation and center of their lives. A watery type who has been bruised and battered emotionally will tend to withdraw from the world of intimacy into isolation, which is very unhealthy for them. Their fear of emotional pain needs to be worked through and healed. Case history number 3, a Scorpio man. Years ago, a Scorpio man said to me, "Forget it, there is no one to trust." To which I replied, "Except yourself. You need to trust yourself above all else and know that you will do the right thing for yourself at all times and in all situations. This will eliminate your fear of getting close." I have no fear of getting close. I want to get close, but then I'm betrayed or abandoned. It's the deception that really gets to me, he said. I can tell that I'm not getting the truth from them, the whole truth. Could it be that you're a little paranoid? I asked. My paranoia stems from my past and all the deception I've had to put up with, he clarified. I listened and listened and then listened some more as he told me what they had done to him. Through it all, I was acutely aware of his emotionally based biases and blind spots, in addition to the challenging patterns in his birth chart. He was watery through and through. Clear-sighted objectivity was totally lacking. He was completely unaware of his own behavior and how his behavior created everything he experienced in his relationships. Trying to get him to look at himself was viewed by him as a direct assault. All I heard from him was, she did this, she did that, and I countered with, but you did those things also. In fact, you were the first to do those things. He looked at me as if I had just stabbed him in the back. His look said, how dare you think that the same rules of behavior apply to me? How dare you think that? Lady, they don't apply to me. I am in a class by myself, stationed above the rest of humanity. That was the day my young 26-year-old self became acutely aware of the legendary Scorpio ego. He made Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius look like amateurs in the egocentricity department. What it came down to was that he was allowed to do and say any and everything, but no one else was allowed to have the same freedom in a relationship with him, least of all a female in a relationship with him. His final question to me before he left was this. So tell me, will I ever find a woman who is truly worthy of me? I must confess that secretly, I truly hoped that someday he would meet his match.